This program also streams live on the web at tspntv.com and can be watched on demand at tspntv.com or TSPN TV's YouTube channel. And now, authors, writers, books, and beyond.
Hi, my name is Kathy Boyd-Valeur. Welcome to the February show. That's a good start. Of Authors, Writers, Books, and Beyond. I have two wonderful guests today for you that we're going to be talking about many interesting historical things in the Pride of Ione. On my left is Andrea Bonham.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming.
I'm excited.
And on my right is Eddie Walsh.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you for coming,
It's
Ed.
the fabulous Eddie Walsh.
Yes, the fabulous Eddie Walsh.
Amazing, Andrea.
And the amazing, wait a minute, what does that make me?
The wonderful.
Okay, there you go. So we're going to start with what we have on the table here, and I'm going to turn it over to Andrea, and she's going to talk to you about the inception of the Pride of Ione and what she's currently doing.
Okay, well, thanks. I'm thrilled to be here. So it's actually, we were just discussing, it's been a year. A year ago in February, we started the Pride of Ione. And we really wanted to do is focus on history and really personal histories. A lot of times the big public histories, like, when there's an earthquake or a tsunami, that all gets documented. What doesn't get documented is your family history. How did you get here? What were your parents like? Explain what their mannerisms like. What are your childhood memories? So we started interviewing people, and our first project we did was last year for Ione Homecoming. We interviewed about 20 people, and we asked them what were their memories of homecoming, and then we found old footage. So from the Larrigans, from Dolores Roots, now Larrigan, the Smiley family, and Rosie and Lloyd Oneto, they shared from 1946 on. We had old horse races, parades, sack races, just all kinds of stuff from homecoming. And so we put it all together, and we created a documentary, which is what these little discs are right here. So that was our first project. We sell those for $20 a piece. That was our first project to kind of capture the history. And then from there, we just kept interviewing people. So we're over 30 interviews right now.
Wow.
We're focusing on Miwoks and the elderly, so we can get to capture their stories right now. And then it was a busy year. We've done booths. We're at the Ione Homecoming, the Veterans Walk. We're getting ready to do our very first project, which is a mural in downtown Ione.
Where's that going to be?
It's on Larry Paquette's door that rolls up and down. It's going to be a surprise. I didn't bring a picture.
Oh, you
I thought
didn't?
about
Okay.
it. Well, I have one. It's like,
I've seen it.
It's exciting. I'm so excited. So March 14th and 15th, we'll be painting that.
Okay.
So we
I won't
just
say anything.
yeah, we have a lot of projects in the works, and it's very, very exciting.
Lots going on. And Ed, you want to share how you work with Andrea? And I want to hear about your wonderful office, too.
Right, the other wonderful office.
Sucked him right in.
Well, and I've actually, Andrew, we've known each other for a while,
Yeah,
a few years.
I knew him when he was little.
Right.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's a big advantage.
But probably about a year and a half ago, I'm driving home, and Andrea comes up right behind me, comes out of her car, and says, "Hey, I'm doing this Pride of Ione thing." She knew that I like to do video, and had wanted me to do the video interviews, documenting history and things like that. At the time, I think I initially declined. I said, "No,
Yes, did
I
he?
can't." Yeah, I said, "Thank you."
I was a
sounds awesome."
stalker.
Yeah, that's awesome. But then I'm so glad that later I said yes, and yeah, we started meeting a year ago, February of last year.
So this is your anniversary, woohoo?
Yeah,
I
yeah,
know.
which
That's
is
what we
very
were just
exciting.
talking about.
And it's just, I was telling Andrea, I feel like doing video stuff, doing camera stuff, it's like it's your golden ticket to everywhere you go. Because, you have a camera, okay, you can come in the special restricted section, or you can come to see something nobody normally sees, because people want their story told through video. And so I've definitely had that experience so far with the Pride of Ione, and then through partnering with other people through that. So yeah, it's been a lot of fun. It's been very interesting. And I think it's been over 30 people all in all through video and audio interviews and things like that. So it's been an adventure, I think.
And we've learned a lot. Things that I never knew about Ione.
What are some of the new things you learned?
Well, I learned about just by going to. I've done spent a lot of time up at the archives at the beginning of last year, and Thomas Rickey is the family that basically laid out Ione, and Marlette was the surveyor. So that's where we get.
That's where we get Marlette.
Yes, and the Rickey family actually is still in. They were the big folks behind the Methodist Church. And the family is still in contact with Betty Searcy, so now I have a contact where they have some historical documents. Two of the the children are in the Ione Cemetery, and then they moved to Plymouth and like Fiddletown area, and the rest of them are up there. But I mean, it's like, how do I not know that story?
I didn't know that.
Yeah. And then, of course, the naming of Ione, there's been so many different versions of that. So it's just been, and then it is also interesting to find out, it's okay, so you have the beginning history, and I guess the pioneers, but there's even so much history to learn, like from my parents' age, and that group of talking about what it was like when they went to school. And Eddie and I laugh, because one of the things that we figured out is things change and nothing changes. People are still the same. They're still doing the same thing.
There's
Kids are,
nothing new under the sun.
yeah. So that's been a little interesting.
Have you got that from the interviews and the films?
Absolutely.
Your deduction?
Yeah, and that was, the last time I was on your show, I think we talked about that, how when you're documenting, the people you're documenting provide the narrative, they provide the story. And yeah, it's so fun listening to the stories, because you realize in 1947, a 16-year-old was a 16-year-old. They had to deal with different things, but at the same time, a 16-year-old moving from the big city to Ione thought it was boring because it was a little town. Stuff you hear from teenagers today. So yeah, that's been really interesting. Just to see that people are really relatable, even 80s, 90s, they're still very relatable.
Isn't that wonderful?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
It's human
Yeah.
nature.
It is human nature.
One of my favorite comments is in the homecoming video, Mrs. Gebhardt, who I adore, is talking about this small group of people putting on the whole event. I'm like, nothing's changed.
Yeah,
And
that's
it was
so
like
true.
that, I just happen to know the group that does it now and a little bit involved, but the group that did it before, it was the same 12 people. There's always this small group that does it from beginning to end, and it's like, it's been that way since they started it back up in 1946, because it had ended during the war, and when they started
Oh, it
back
did
up-
end during the war.
Yeah, that's something else we found out, because everybody had been talking, it's been continuous, not continuous, and the Gebhardt, it was the Gebhardts and the Scullys and Carlton Dutschke, which was an alumni association. They all came back from the war and decided they wanted to start the picnic again. And we have newspaper clippings from Grange, because before that, Grange put it on.
They did?
Yep. And so we have newspaper clippings where in 1939 they said they were not going to have it because of the war. And then the first one that came back was in 46.
And they wanted it back again.
Yeah, everybody missed it.
sure
and
they did.
decided they wanted to kind of get back to it.
Because I know when we've been here 16 years this year, and we heard Ione Homecoming, and that's not what we pictured what it is.
Most
At
people
all.
don't. They
No.
think it's a high school thing.
Yes, I
Yeah.
did. And I asked Joe, do you want to go? No, we didn't go the first few years. Because we didn't, we didn't fit in.
Well, are you going to go in the parade this year?
In the parade?
It's a Viking theme. Joe would be perfect.
Yeah, he would.
He would.
I'll just mention it.
I keep telling all those Cal Fire, you need to go through.
Yeah, I would. Okay, I'll take a little leap here. I'd love to see Cal Fire have a float in there this year.
Oh, I would love. I keep harassing him. I don't know that they're actually going to do it, but I
Who
keep
knows?
harassing
There's
him.
always a first time.
Right.
There's always a first
We're
time.
going to do a float.
The
Pride
Pride of
of
Ione.
Ione.
Oh,
You
cool.
see
Is it
Eddie's
going to be the
beautiful beard?
Viking? Yes, dear, the Viking.
Specifically, she's conscripted me. Yes. Yeah, this is a Viking beard for Andrea.
Are they going to make you don a hat with horns?
Yeah, I think I'm going to be Thor or something like that. Yeah. it's-
Yay.
yeah.
Oh, I'm wearing horns, and I want
Oh,
big horns.
Andrew's going to be. Yeah, it's going to be fun. It's going
It's
to be
gonna be a fun
Oh,
float.
I will
We're
be sure
excited.
my camera's fired up for that.
There you go.
Oh.
I'm like, it's such an easy, fun theme. The joke I make, I said the bottoms, which Mike Clark and Chuck Bottom always go through as women and not very attractive women.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Yeah. And I said, that whole bottom clan should just go as what's in your wallet. Those crazy commercials, because that's how they act. Everybody can have a drink and just kind of meander down. And,
That's a
yeah.
really good idea.
Yeah.
Because those are funny, too.
Yeah, those are great commercials.
Well, let me see. I have a presentation to give you, but I don't want to give it to you till after the break. And
Okay.
we're going to switch all this out. So you want to talk about the shirt? and-
Sure. So we have these great shirts, which I love. It says, I made history with Pride of Ione, and then it's got a little thing on the sleeve. It says Ione on the side. We have those available for $15. It's a fundraiser for the Pride of Ione. And what's funny is a lot of people, I have shipped these to Idaho, Oregon, and Wyoming so far.
Wow.
Because a lot of people who move away, their childhood is still in Ione.
Their heart's there.
Yeah, and we have a lot of people even who live in Jackson and Cedar Creek now who, went to school in Ione. So it's a fun little thing for them to wear, especially at homecoming, because we like seeing all the sea of red. And then we have, our brochure that tells all about some of the projects that we're working on, welcome baskets for new homeowners, and yeah, I can't get it folded. Let's try this one that I didn't undo already. And so, tells all about our different projects. We're working on an iPad app for our brands.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, we did a bunch of brands down at Clark's Corner, and so now we're making an application that's really cool. You get to click on it, it pulls up who the brand was, when it was registered, any historical information they give on us.
I would like that.
Yeah, well, I like anything I can press.
I like history.
Yeah.
I love history. Now, when you two are over in the office, what do you two do over there?
Well, I'll mostly be in there doing editing.
Editing the film?
Uploading things that we've gotten footage of. And then Andrew, we always joke when we're in there together because we're always like, we're doing it, we're having fun, we're making history.
We're really here.
And then Andrew, what do you usually do when you're over in yours?
Well, it was fun. So the office, we have to thank Bill Bunce and Tom Sweat for that. That was an empty building that used to be the sales pavilion at Castle Oaks, and they were kind enough to let us use it while it's empty. We don't know how long we get to be there, but we're thankful for any time we get to spend
Oh,
there.
I hope
Very
it's
grateful.
permanent. That's a great spot for you.
No, we're permanent. I have bigger plans. I want to get the superintendent's house up at Preston for permanent with a whole museum. But anyhow,
whole museum.
Oh, it would be fab. We're working on that. Keep my fingers crossed. But it was funny because when we did the homecoming video, we did it from Eddie's house, and I was like his wife. He'd give me the key and he'd come in, and it was just, it's so nice to have an office
Yeah.
to go to and have meetings and let the other groups come in, like the castle, and they come and meet there. It's just a beautiful building.
And we're getting ready to go to break, but I want to tell those of you out there that haven't visited, there's a little theater in there because my husband and I just went and saw the films, 2 of them. We watched the JTS too. It's actually fascinating. So come back and join us for our second
You're
segment.
watching Amador County's local television network, TSPN.
It's Lophi's Get Ready for Winter Sale. Save now, then save later.
You're watching your local television network, TSPN, and now back to authors, writers, books, and beyond. This program also streams live on the web at tspntv.com and can be watched on demand at tspntv.com or TSPN TV's YouTube channel. And now back to authors, writers, books, and beyond.
Hi, welcome back to segment 2, and we have the Pride of Ione this month with Andrea Bonham and Eddie Walsh, and I'm Kathy Boyd Fuller, and we're going to go into a trailer for Ione Homecoming for you to watch and get an idea more about what we're talking about.
Oh no, that's the real.
Hi, welcome back. They're going to fix something, and then we'll take you back to the reel. In the meantime, I have something to present to Andrea. This was actually presented to Ione at the Amateur Fiction Writers Annual Literary Read at Clark's Corner, November 30th of last year, by our now international member, John Cluett, who is leaving us to go back to Sweden. And this is the Last Days of Pompeii. This is a lovely second edition. Yeah.
And I don't want to have water next to it.
And it's the copyright date is 1879, so it's a second edition. And I put John on the phone to Andrea earlier. I knew he bought it 40 years ago in a used bookstore in Stockholm, and it's it has an inscription here in Swedish to a young boy for his 16th birthday. And it is, I'm going to let Andrea explain to you why that has significance, the Last Days of Pompeii, for the city of Ione. So from John Cluett,
Thank you, John.
entrusted
Thank
to you.
Kathy.
Oh,
It's
you're
beautiful.
welcome. I love it.
Oh, I'm so, and it's such, here, let's put this, I am
Yeah, we'll move our
notoriously
drinks.
clumsy, so we're just going to move the water away from it so I don't destroy it. It's such a beautiful book.
It really is.
So yeah, so I was so excited because, you know, you always hear freeze out and bed bug, and then how Ione got its name. And so when I was doing some research, there's a book actually here that was published in, I believe, 1881, and then Sonato Publishing actually published it again, which was great. And it's got all
Hold it up.
it's got all the engravings and everything in it. And in it, in 1881, they went and talked to the pioneers, which I think is great. So basically the 49ers. And so it has a lot of history in it, and it talks about the naming of Ione. It was almost Worcesterville, and they took a vote, and
That was news to me.
it was because of a gentleman, I can't remember his name right now, was reading The Last Days of Pompeii, and the heroine is named Ione. So they picked the name after the heroine. And so now we have something to put in a nice little shuttle box and protect it, and it's such a beautiful book.
It is. It's a rare book.
Yeah,
So-
I'm thrilled. I have never seen one, and it actually, I love, it's got the little, it also has a little sticker from Uppsala. So I don't know if that's where he bought it, but yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah, John, he actually wrote a poem for the read this year. It's really hysterical. It's a comedic poem, which is not his genre. He writes international thrillers. So Iron Ivan, our train, takes off in the poem with an old couple.
Oh, how fun!
Yeah, it's really fun. And so he, knowing he was returning to Sweden not to come back, wanted to leave something because he came to Ione and he already had a heart for Ione from reading this.
Oh, that's so cool.
So he wanted to leave something, I think part of himself too, because it's really hard for us for him to become an international. Of course, we don't want to lose him, but his family's waiting for him back here, and his house is sold, and he's ready to go. So I know it's in good hands. I told him, she's going to go home and read it right away.
Oh, yes, it's beautiful.
Which is the
I
best
love
thing that
it.
can happen.
Yeah, well, and then everyone will get, and it's such a pretty little book.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's just, I love, it's got a little ribbon in it.
It
That's
does.
your
And
little
it's still
bookmark.
in there.
I know.
It's still in
and
there.
It's so dainty. And I'm not. I will make sure I don't pull on it too hard.
It'll be really, and then you can
Yeah.
kind of share maybe at some of the new events coming up, because I think some of the townspeople don't even know that.
Oh, I'm sure,
history.
especially the newcomers. You know, one of these things was to help the newcomers really become part of the community
Mm-hmm.
and share our history. And there's so much more I'm learning that I can even share. So,
And see, you grew up here too, right?
I did.
And
I
I
did.
didn't. You both did.
Yeah.
and what's neat is we have different like connections. Like he is really, into his family was in the Catholic Church, so he has a whole group of people that I don't really know.
Oh, okay.
I
didn't
have
know
like
that.
the older folks, like Mr. Gebhardt, that I knew. So yeah, we've gotten to intertwine and learn about everybody.
That's interesting because one of the first people I met was Mr. Mackey at the
Okay.
pool 16 years ago. He passed away a while back, but yeah, we met him swimming laps. Old Mr. Mackey at the pool.
We love
Yeah.
Mr. Mackey. My mother, if I had, this isn't a bad story, so I'll tell it. Mr. Mackey always had a dent in his hat. He wore a ball cap and always had a dent, and we called him Mackey Dents. I assumed that was the name of a dent in your hat. That the whole world called him Mackey Dents. And then my mother finally explained to me, no, that's because Mr. Mackey always had a dent in his hat. And the same thing with Preston Boys. I thought if you were a convict, you were a Preston Boy.
Preston boy. See, we didn't know all that. We came here. We are you guys are Ionians. We're Ione transplants.
Okay.
And I'm not leaving. I've told my husband, I like my little house. I'm very content in my little house. I'm very content. And this is it. We're not moving.
Perfect.
We're retiring and staying here. Our two might move on, but the two that are still home, that shall not be named because I don't have permission. But you know who I'm talking about. And so for me, it's like the town I grew up in Fair Oaks.
Oh, Fair Oaks is cute.
Yeah, and so I go between Ione and Fair Oaks.
Okay.
And I know my history. And still, at 58, I'm learning new things like you are about, which I find fascinating personally. I was flipping through this book last night.
This one?
Yeah, and I told my husband, I fell asleep reading it. Didn't used to happen to me, but it does now. And I said, there are so many, I want to be able just to sit here and read, because I find it fascinating.
I love the personal stories. Like you talk about a gentleman by the name of Cunningham. I just love that. I love hearing, what people were actually doing.
I didn't get
Right.
to him.
Oh.
Do you have a favorite story from growing up?
From growing up?
Yeah.
Oh, God. Just the little communities, I think, in Ione. I remember like when the hotel in Ione burned down in the 80s. And I just remember I was 7 or 8 and we were just all riding our bikes, because I lived right down the street from there, And just that, kind of everybody knew each other and, everybody, one of the kids that we played with lived in the hotel at the time. And,
Wow.
so just things like that. Definitely remember, like you said, Mr. Mackey. My dad had worked with Mr. Mackey
Did
as
he?
a teacher, yeah. And yeah, I think you do get a lot of that, that close-knit thing. You think that things that everyone in Ione would call something, and you think that's what it's called, but it's really not. It's just a
really
local thing. But I loved. I was telling Andrea, I have a lot of friends from all over. And they'll hear these stories about Iona and they say, well, that's cute and that's nice and everybody knows each other. But, if you're coming from out of the area, and you could probably talk about this, but
Yeah.
if you're coming from out of the area, you might not feel as included. And you had said to me, Andrew, that you want that. You want everyone to be included. You don't want it to feel like, oh, I'm new here, I'm not part of the fabric, And that's what I thought was really cool, kind of fighting against that exclusionary thing that might happen in a close-knit community.
In small towns, that can
It
happen.
can happen.
And it can happen without trying.
Yeah.
Right.
It's because everybody has a shared history, and then you're new. You're the outsider. You don't get the inside joke.
One of my husband, he works up at the Cal Fire Academy. One of Joe's favorite stories is how he came ahead of us, and then the kids and I joined him, and how the mail person went up to the academy delivering and told him, oh, there's mail for the new guy at the post office. And he said, it was that small. And there was mail for the Fullers, and there's not many Fullers, And so he came home and he said, there's mail. And I said, no, there isn't. He goes, yeah, there's mail, honey. Go check the box. And so things like that. And we had Nina for a long time. She was our mail lady.
Yeah.
And like I said, growing up small, what I thought was small town, Fair Oaks back then in Sacramento was considered the boondocks because it was.
I love
And so
those.
coming as an outsider coming in, and I was homeschooling Matt and Jenny, so that kind of narrowed our focus, which is why they became known as the pool kids because that was our PE class.
Yeah.
That summer was swimming, and that's where we met Mr. Mackey. He always sat on his cooler,
Oh, how funny.
and that's where they made their first friends.
See, and we'll have to interview because these are the kinds of stories talking about Mr. Mackey, sitting on his cooler.
He was so nice.
Well, and what's so fabulous, it's so nice to for the families to hear other people's memories of them too. My mother in the homecoming video mentions two people, Gigi and Lois Watson, who when I grow up, I still think of them. And me, they're covered in paint because we grew up at that picnic grounds working all the time, and all they did was paint, and they always had their paint clothes on.
Oh my
And so
gosh.
my mother mentions it in the video. Well, the daughter lives in Texas, and she ordered a video, and she said that brought tears to her eyes hearing my mom talk about Gigi and Lois painting. It's those sweet little things that really connect with everybody who has
And
that
you don't
shared
always
memory.
hear it.
There's
don't
no
always
way for you to hear
yeah.
it.
I know one of the other things the friends they made were a brother and sister that lived in the old dairy farmhouse for Preston. We're across the street and one over from it. It has a full basement. And my kids were like, Mom, it's like where Dad's from in Ohio. There's a full basement. And I didn't believe them, but it's a cute little brick house. That's a historic building,
That's
by
a
the
great
way.
building.
That's
They
a
just sold
historic.
that.
I know.
Yeah.
I know, and that's where they first connected with the Osorio family. He was, I think, a cook at Preston,
Oh, okay.
and he's who got the chicken.
Oh, yes. This infamous chicken that I would love to someday see.
And then, well, before we break, we have a little bit of time left. Ed, can you share a little about? I know you have a lot of exposure where you work at one of the local banks. Do you get a lot of people come in and ask you anything there? Do they know you're
Regarding
working on
Pride of
this?
Ione?
Yeah.
Not really.
No.
Not really. I mean, it's all kind of quiet, and people still think of me as the bank guy, which is fine. That's fine. But I kind of joke, when I'm going out to the office, I go, okay, I'm going to my secret real job. What I want to do. So.
Yeah, and actually, when we first moved here, everyone thought he was Matthew's brother.
Right.
Oh, how funny.
Right.
Yeah.
So they still do.
Yeah,
Oh,
they
I
still
didn't
do.
know
He
that.
has two brothers, and I think, is one of the boys in town? It was Eddie.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, and now you, because you were a manager at Clark's for so long, people probably know you. They already knew you anyway.
They still think I'm at Clark's half the time. Oh, yeah.
Because you're there a lot, having meetings.
I still go, like we did a brand event down there, got more brands on the wall.
Oh, I love that. We need to talk about the brands when we come
Okay,
back.
great.
Because we have a little bit of time, but keep going.
Okay, so it's been just a year since I've been at Clark's and started doing this. So I'm still going in and out. Love Chester, who's the manager down there now. We just did our brand event at the end of January. And
How many more brands went up?
we had another 22. So we have
Wow.
over 150 brands between the two walls.
That's
front and
really
back.
something.
It's pretty exciting. I think they look beautiful. I just think it's such a cool look.
I do too. And it's a lasting piece of history.
Yeah. So now we have to document who they all belong to.
And that's next. That's the
Yep.
next big job.
Yep.
So do you guys have jobs laid up ahead of you?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Trying to find time.
Yeah, so we have so many jobs, we could. My dad says, "What are you going to do when you run out of stuff?" I'm like, "We'll never
That's
run
never
out."
gonna happen.
That's not even possible.
I'm sure history just keeps revealing itself and revealing itself as you uncover new things and talk to new people.
And we're making it.
Yes,
Right.
and we're in the process of making
Yeah.
it. Okay, we're getting ready to wind down and take our second break, and we have another short clip for them of... No, we don't. Okay, no, we don't. I'm sorry. We're going to talk about it and tell you all about it instead. So be sure you come back for our third segment, and Eddie and Andrea will fill you in on more. I'm going to be listening because I get to learn as we go along. So thanks for being with us, and we'll see you again in a little bit.
You're watching Amador County's local television network, TSPN. You're watching your local television network, TSPN, and now back to Authors, Writers, Books, and Beyond. This program also streams live on the web at tspntv.com and can be watched on demand at tspntv.com or TSPN TV's YouTube channel. And now back to Authors, Writers, Books, and Beyond.
Hi, welcome back to our third segment. We're kind of having a party back here. You should join us. I mean, you should all come down to the station before the fourth segment. Up the stairs. Anyway, we're going to show you a little video clip, and it kind of is self-explanatory, and it's a lovely little clip of the people in the town. So we'll take it from there. I like it better in black and white.
It was a lot of work, but we had a hell of a lot of fun.
We put on the damn picnic ourselves.
Okay, we're back on. We have another video a little later, and you want to explain what that was about?
Sure. So that was the trailer to the homecoming video we made. So that footage you saw of the parades and stuff, that was like from 1946 on.
And is that the one you made?
Yeah, Andrew and I made it together.
Nice
yeah.
job.
And that was our,
Blood, sweat, and tears.
our Blood, Sweat, and Tears, our very first project with a very, 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 very short timeline to get all the interviews, all the editing.
We had, I think it's about 12 hours of old footage, which is phenomenal. I mean, I feel
That you have
honored
to go through.
just to have,
Yeah.
but, well, I feel honored just to have it, you know, because, I mean, some of it's like from the 30s on, but what was so cool is like some of that footage, I mean, like Dolores was saying, oh yeah, you know, my dad was really into photography, so he was just filming everything back in the day. And sometimes he would even have color, which in the 40s, color film would have been incredibly expensive. So just, you know, a lot of cool stuff that we were able to compile for that homecoming video.
Yeah, I envy you being able to go through all of it. I would find it just so fascinating.
That was our bonding moment. I said it's kind of like where, you know, you really bond, like when you're in football or you're in war. So that was our bonding moment. It was like, it was long, but we got it done. And we knew after that, it's like, okay, we can do this.
Yeah.
So now you know you're going to be a Viking and you're bonded and good.
Of course, yeah.
He has the beard. He already has the beard. Well, now, you want to show? I would love to see some of these.
Some of the photos?
Oh, yes.
Okay. So these are just miscellaneous photos. I'll see if this one, actually, the building hasn't changed much. This is where the pizza factory is now. What I love about this one, though, is it has a really good shot of what used to be on the side of the building. If you look at it now, it's really faded out, so it's hard to tell. This is a great aerial shot. It's not the best picture, but even the castle didn't have a picture of this. I'm not sure where we found it. Things started showing up at Clark's because we were doing the tables. So this is an aerial view. So here's the castle, and it's all the different outbuildings that used to be there. A lot of them
Are gone now.
Yeah, very, very sad, but it's beautiful buildings. This is a funny one. This is the 1961 football team from Ione High. So you have, everybody's listed with their numbers. So you have the Dutchkes, Jensens, Hughes, Sinclairs, Lairs, Bonham, Riley's, Sampucci's, a little bit of everybody in there, which I think is fun. And they actually have their games and their...
Listed?
Yeah, the games are listed and the score.
The
So
scores?
it's pretty good, yeah.
Wow, so a historian.
And then, okay, here's my mission. This is why we're having a float, is because when I was growing up, this is what the floats used to look like at the homecoming parade. And you would make a float for Ione Homecoming, and then you would take that float and you'd go to the Italian picnic. So, well, and actually there used to be a third parade. You would do the Kit Carson Days here in Jackson. So every float or every horse group, you did 3 parades, just boom, 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 back to back. So I'm on a mission to get floats back because they're my dream.
What an amazing float.
Oh,
too.
they're gorgeous. Here's another
Jeez.
one. I think this little girl on this one might be Jennifer Sullivan, who's now Griffith, but I think that's her right there. This was Native Daughters always did great jobs on their floats.
So it was a pride thing for back then.
Yeah, and it was chicken wire and napkins.
Wow, a lot of work.
Yeah, Bev Bamer, the alumni, Val Kreth, a lot of them worked on floats, more floats. Here's a good shot after homecoming, everybody milling around. This is one of my favorites. If anybody knows who any of these people are, it would be great. Facebook me, let me know.
And that's one of the hardest things is we're going through the footage or pictures or whatever. Oh, who is that? We don't know.
You
And a
don't
lot
know.
of them.
Yeah.
What amazing town participation, though.
Oh, yeah.
That's a
Oh
big
yeah,
crowd.
it was a big deal. This is one of my favorite pictures. This is actually where Cornerstone Church is. This is the original church.
It is?
Yeah, isn't it gorgeous?
It is stunning. How did that end up
Well,
not existing any longer?
so it was brick. Then,
Which isn't that what the town is famous for, is the brick?
yeah, we had a brickyard. Then they actually stuccoed it, so it became a big white church. But what it did is it ruined the brick.
Yes.
So what I've got a close up here, where it started to crack,
Yeah.
and they had to tear the whole thing down, which just breaks my heart.
What a shame.
I know. And then, so here's what it looked like before they tore it down. Still not as pretty as the original one. And now Cornerstone has a really nice little church there,
Yeah.
and they let the castle, they use it for their meetings. It's got a great little area.
I will just put a little plug for Cornerstone. Pastor Tony, all 5 years, has donated, 4 years out of 5, his podium for our read.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
he's,
very
he's
generous.
such a great guy. Well,
Yeah.
this is a great shot. This is the first hotel in Ione, and it burned down.
That burnt down.
So it was actually not brick, this was a wooden one, which I think is interesting. I hadn't seen a picture of that. This is Preston Avenue, well, actually the highway, it's now Preston Avenue, and the little bridge right there off of Main Street, which is always fun. Here's another heartbreaking one.
Oh, no.
This was the hotel that is now City Hall.
Gee.
3 stories.
Isn't it
3
beautiful?
stories.
See, I'm so glad that Jackson still has like the national,
The
or even this
National.
building that we're in here, which I call the Woodbury building. I don't know what. Okay, this is a great building and such a big building, but yeah, we don't have our great big grand
What happened
building.
to this one?
Burnt down.
Burnt. Is it wood?
No, it was brick. So
Wow.
now it's just one story. So this is City Hall now. Here's a great shot of Main Street, and what I find interesting about Main Street is that it had so many trees on it. I'm
it
sure they
did.
all did. I mean, there was the tree in Jackson, and yeah, they all had funny little trees on them, which makes
When
sense.
there aren't any now.
Yeah. I have another.
This is
great
beautiful
one.
architecture on this
Oh, yeah.
3-story hotel.
Oh, isn't it gorgeous?
Yeah.
Here is our first graduating class in 1905 of the Ione Union High. And it's funny because you'll see names that have been, forever, the Proudies and Winter families.
Is that Winterport Farm?
Yeah, that is one of the Winters have been here forever. More football. Here's the old, where the VFW hall is. This was the grammar school. So it's also now one story.
Yeah.
I don't know what
That
happened.
was the grammar school?
No, this is the VFW hall.
VFW hall.
The grammar school was here. Then they built the new school.
Oh,
But now it looks like this. It's just one
Yeah,
story.
what an incredible building.
I know. I'm so disappointed all the tops of our buildings are
They're all
gone.
missing. Like
Yeah.
someone went hack.
And then I got a few others here.
It was cool. We just interviewed a gal who had gone to school there, and she just had her 90th birthday at the VFW hall,
Yeah.
where she had gone to grammar school, which was really fun.
Which is
Yeah,
very
that's
cool.
wonderful.
And this is one of my favorite pictures. This is a mule team going across the Preston Bridge, and you'll notice how shallow it is. And in that book that I had told you about, the 1881, it talks about how they had a couple different floods and high water, and it would bring a lot of silt down. And so I think it was in the 60s, I'm not sure, so someone knows better than I do, let me know. They came and the Army Corps made the creek deeper. It's really shallow here.
Oh.
This is where Preston is
Didn't
now.
know that either.
I know. All kinds of stuff. And like I said, I know just the tip of the iceberg. There's so much history and all the citizens around. And
And some of it's dying off with the
yeah, and
generation.
and it's county-wide. I mean, it's, you'll talk to someone to Jackson and they'll have a story, or you'll talk to someone in Ione and they have a story about Jackson. It's all connected. And so it's interesting to hear all the different perspectives. And like I said, I'm just starting this, so I have, actually very little of it. So it's been fun.
Boy, it's fascinating. I like old pictures too.
Oh,
Do
yeah.
you?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Love it.
Well, being in film, this is probably just a thrill for you.
Oh yeah, and like I was telling Andrew, I mean, watching the old footage from 70 years ago, I mean, it's so great. I mean, if we can maintain the stuff that we're doing now, all the interviews we're doing and things like that. I mean, 7 years from now, I mean, I am hoping that people will just be as glad that that's on film as we are that the stuff from the 40s is, 30s
Today.
and 40s. Yeah. So
He gets a little excited. He goes, "Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh!"
I love that.
As he's watching the old video.
I do the same thing. Don't blush.
Watching color film from 1947 just blows me away.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's very cool.
That was a rarity.
Yeah. So.
Wow, you guys, I am fascinated. I know when we first came, I hit the library first, and the home we were leasing to own was Evelyn Angier, and she had just, I think, retired as the head librarian.
And that family has a ton.
And she did. Every time we paid our rent, I paid it in person, took my kids, and they got a 3 to 4 hour history lesson, which was priceless.
Yeah.
Which was absolutely priceless. And I learned a lot I didn't know. And then we checked out the castle, the history of the castle, which what a magnificent piece of architecture.
We love the castle.
Ask Eddie about his most favorite day ever.
Oh, well, and we're going to see a clip from that, I think, in the last
yay.
segment. So,
Are we going to see that in the last
so
segment?
hopefully.
Yay.
So yeah, most favorite day ever is involved in the castle. We definitely love the castle. So many adventures there that Andrew and I have had so far.
I know. We were so excited because we got to eat in the dining room.
Oh yeah.
Did?
Oh, we had been there all day filming some stuff, and we were hungry, and they said, "Oh, well, you know what? You can eat right here." So we got to sit in the dining room and eat.
Wow.
It was
Which is so cool.
Yeah.
I haven't gotten to do that. I know they have wine cellar down below, and they do
Yeah.
wine
Yeah,
events
in the
there,
basement.
but that's kind of cool.
Yeah, we weren't just
Did
visiting
someone
the castle.
photograph you?
You know, we were all so giddy. Nobody thought to take a picture
That's
or
the one thing
anything.
we
No
didn't.
selfies, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got to lug around that heavy Nikon. Oh, I would love to have a picture of that. You guys need to have someone record you as you're recording.
Eddie's done some of it. You'll
Yeah,
see in the
but-
reel.
yeah.
We're trying to get better at that.
Ooh, well, come back if you want to learn some more. And Andrea has a picture opened up you aren't going to want to miss. You'll see one more little clip, and Eddie and Andrea have a lot more to share with you. And I will be basically silent because I want to hear it all. I don't want you to miss anything. So thanks for coming, and we'll see you in a little bit.
You're watching Amador County's local television network, TSPN. You're watching your local television network, TSPN, and now back to authors, writers, books, and beyond. This program also streams live on the web at tspntv.com and can be watched on demand at tspntv.com or TSPN TV's YouTube channel. And now back to authors, writers, books, and beyond.
Hi, welcome back to our fourth segment, and we're going to start you off with a really interesting clip that kind of combines Eddie's and Andrea's last year of work. Fascinating information and sites that I want you just to enjoy.
Quite excited about
Oh, absolutely love it.
Yeah, I say we're still giddy because we just did that.
You guys
To
should
have
be
something
proud.
to show you.
So you did the filming,
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
and Andrea,
Splice?
Well, it was a whole compilation. That's all. Those were interviews. That was Eddie filming the parade. It was other projects we worked on. It was us being silly.
I really like that.
Yeah. So that was just kind of, we were just trying to throw something together, you know, and it was fun for us because it's like, wow, look at what we've done this last year.
Yeah.
And just something fun and
That's
silly.
quite an
and-
accomplishment.
Yeah, no, it's been fun, like Andrew said, and it's cool though because usually when we go, so Andrew usually does the interviewing, so we've got a pretty good rhythm going on. Like, oh, this person says we can go talk to them, and boop, we grab
They're
that
gone.
app and
Oh yeah, the first one, you know, we get more efficient as we go along. Now we've got it down.
yeah.
And Eddie has such beautiful, sexy equipment, you know, that everybody's just like, oh.
Mesmerized. Whoa.
There he is. Well, before I forget, I have something that I wanted to give you as a thank you.
Oh.
I saw them and thought of you.
Thank
So
you.
I wanted to thank you for having us on here.
Oh my goodness.
I said clink, clink, you probably already know what they're going to be.
Oh my goodness, thank you. See, can you see?
So now you can have teas.
For
Because
tea.
you don't mind if they don't match, right?
No, I do
Okay.
not. We lived in England and nothing matched.
So
Is it
perfect.
okay to open this? Yeah.
Well, you did now.
Very much. I am so grateful. And they will get very used,
Well,
trust me.
perfect.
Now, I want you guys to go into my favorite building that no longer exists.
Oh, I know.
Other than the castle.
Yeah, your second favorite building maybe.
It's actually second
So
favorite.
this is actually the old Women's Center, and it is at the end of town where the Park and Ride is now. And what's funny is everybody, I posted this on Facebook, this and the theater, the Ione Theater, are the most popular posts. We have a Pride of Ione group, so you can go like us on Facebook, and I try
Please
to post
do.
every couple weeks. I post a new picture, and everybody remembers roller skating in here. And then Mr. G, the next the generations before that, they used to have events there all the time. So this is a building that's connected. A lot of people really feel a connection to this
Like the
building.
community hub.
Yeah, and it burnt down, and I heard it went really, really fast.
It was wood.
It was wood.
Yeah.
And Eddie can tell you the story about when we were looking at the video, the parade video.
Well, a lot of the clips we didn't recognize. Oh, what town is that? Because we'd see that building at the end of Main Street, which is now a parking lot. And we finally realized that that is the women's club that we had all heard about, but had never seen or couldn't imagine what it looked like. And it looks huge. I mean,
It was a
huge.
beautiful building.
beautiful, beautiful, and lots of different things would happen there. You know, like you said, events, skating. I mean, all kinds of different things. So, you know, and I always heard those stories growing up. Ione had a movie theater. Ione had the
heard
women's club with roller skating. I mean, there was a lot of cool stuff to do. And I would still go to the movies in Ione if there was a movie theater. You know what? The Avengers 2 is playing. Oh, I'll just walk down from my house and watch the movie. You know what I mean? So that's really fun when you can actually see those things that you've heard about, but don't, like you said, don't exist anymore.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, and such a piece of history.
Yeah, it was such a. I didn't realize. I mean, I always heard about it, but I didn't realize it was such a neat building and
Yeah.
such a big building.
yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
All right. So our other thing. So here's our big exciting thing. So we are actually having an event. So in our beautiful building that has a theater in it,
Yay.
which is our favorite, where we have our office, we're actually going to do a welcome center. So April 5th, we're having a fundraiser dinner for the Pride of Ione. But what's exciting is we're going to have a bunch of other nonprofits there that are going to have booths too. So it's really a way to kind of connect the community. So it's $35 for adults, $15 for 12 and under. Unless they're little, then they don't need anything. So we'd love to see people come out and support all the different nonprofits, and all the booths are going to be interactive. And one of my most favorite things that I'm so excited about is Pam Bennett's at 5th grade, Ione Elementary, has a wax museum.
Cool.
And she is doing a wax museum of historical Ione figures. So the kids are frozen, and you go touch them, and they come to life, and they're dressed, and they tell you who they are and their story. So I'm so thrilled to have them, but we'll have the railroad group there. They're going to try to bring a speeder, the Picnic Association, IBCA, the castle. They've got
Foundation.
a big wooden castle. So yeah, it should be a fun night. Plus we'll have the historical displays inside the little welcome center.
And so it's all the history, even up to modern time, today, present?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Oh,
So, and it'll be kind of a place, where people can come and get information about the town, or learn history stuff, or learn, hey, how do I get to Chaucer, or, just kind of a little information
what a
center.
wonderful, there's not really been anything like that the time I've lived there.
Well, and it's such a beautiful spot.
Gorgeous spot. I had to talk my husband to get out of the, the theater chair. Joe, it's time to go. What?
Oh, they're nice.
We're done with the movie clips. It's time to go. Okay. It's really comfy. So, and it's gorgeous out there with your trellis, with your
The whole place is just stunning.
starting to bloom too, isn't it?
Not yet.
Not
I'm
yet?
waiting.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought I saw
It
a
was
couple
beautiful
buds.
when we first got in there. Everything was still in bloom. So it's going to be gorgeous in April, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And what's the date again? April what?
It's April 5th, and
April
it
5th.
starts at 6 p.m. Oh, and tickets are on sale at I Own It Now, Clark's Corner, and the Ione Pharmacy.
in the Ione Pharmacy.
Which are all venues in Ione, stores in Ione.
Yes.
Yep.
All right around there.
Yeah.
And so even if you're not from Ione or you used to live in Ione or you know people in Ione, it'll be a fun night.
Yeah, sounds really fun.
Yeah.
If you would like, actually, I will volunteer the Amateur Writers Group to do a booth for you.
I would love that.
We're not
It has to be
nonprofit.
interactive.
Oh yeah, it can be interactive. Trust me.
They have to have a quiz or a game or something that
Engage the
engaging.
kids to write.
Yes.
And we have illustrators.
Oh,
So
no-
for the art,
oh,
too.
that would be fun.
Jessica, who works at Clark's.
Yep.
And Donna Plant.
oh, that
She's
would be
another
fun.
illustrator. And
Oh, that would be great to have you guys
Yeah,
down.
we've gone to schools and done that. That would be a good interactive thing with maybe a historical picture of the castle or something.
Oh,
So-
I love that.
Well, I'll work on that.
Okay,
Time to
you work on
it.
that and then you let me know.
Now, before we go, is there anything you want to share that we haven't already talked about? Because we have 5 minutes.
Okay. And I think, as we were talking in the break, I mean, just there's been a lot of cool adventures, a lot of cool access. And one of the things in the clips is, we got to go through the castle to the restricted areas with some of the members of the Castle Foundation and all the way up to the tower, which is phenomenal. One of the most, it's kind of sounds silly because it's just a local thing, but, one of the most exciting days of my life, being able to go up there. And I think that that's kind of par for the course, working with Andrea and doing these projects. And that to me has been a blast over the past year. So. Yeah.
Wow, that's a real treasure to be able to go up there like you guys did.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh, well, it was so fun. And Taryn Herberger, who was in the clip, she was there, and she worked at Disneyland last year. And when we went to see her down at Disneyland, it was so funny because she tells everybody, she goes, "Oh no, my town I'm from, we have a castle." And she goes, "And Frontier Town, that looks just like my town." Everything else, so it's like we're like the little mini Disneyland. And she was with us, and she was thrilled to be in the castle. Yeah, it's just been the whole experience has just been fabulous. I mean, Eddie, I've enjoyed so much working with Eddie, and it's just been such a nice, positive, from everybody we get to interview, it's just nice.
Well, I know in the clips they looked thrilled to be sharing. It was like a joy.
Oh,
And
and,
that's what
and
we
we're
try
just
for. And
thrilled
we're-
to be
we're-
there.
yeah.
We're thrilled that they said yes.
They're like little, our elderly population here that has all the history, or they're walking history books. They're walking
Oh,
living
yeah.
Exactly.
history books.
Oh yeah.
That are invaluable, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And they have a different flavor and way they present it.
Well, even the terminology. One of my favorite.
Definitely.
One of my favorites is we did Evelyn Du Bois, and I asked her, "So where did you go to school?" And she went to Little One Schoolhouse right at the end of Collins Road. And I said, "Well, how would you get to school?" And she goes, "Well, I had a buggy and I'd go to school," just kind of nonchalant. Well, then I had Betty Searcy and her two sisters come in, and the three of them are talking, and they went to school with her, and they're like, "Oh, and Evelyn had her own buggy and her own horse."
Totally different tone.
Yeah, completely different tone. I was crazy. So she was like the cool kid.
So the real story comes out.
Yeah, exactly. I love that.
Throw a couple of siblings or
Yeah.
relatives in there, and
Yeah.
oh, that's interesting. I think one of the things that attracted to me, because this was not our destination.
Really?
No, we went from Sacramento to Morgan Hill, and Joe, that was like his dream job.
Really?
And he gave up Morgan Hill to bring us here. And I had been to Sutter Creek and Jackson as a kid with my history teaching father. He was a public school history teacher. But I hadn't been to Ione. And I said, where? How did I miss that? Daffodil Hill, Volcano, Plymouth. But I hadn't been here. And so the first time he drove me up, I said, oh, it's 3 blocks. But you know what? That sells it so short. There is an amazing story here, and the people are the ones that make up the town, and the buildings, the ones that built them. I always wonder about the house I'm in, who lived in it. I know the Mullalis lived in it before me, and I know the Angiers built it. But every story has there's a story in every house.
Yeah.
And those buggies, see, same thing.
Yes.
So as we wind down, we like to say goodbye and thank you for joining us. I hope you found it as fun and fascinating as the three of us did.
Yeah, we had fun.
It was fun. And you'll please consider April 5th. Set that date aside. You can call the station and ask more questions. You can contact Andrea and Eddie. Eddie's at the Golden One Bank in Ione. Only one. And there's only one Eddie there.
Yeah.
And Andrew's at the historical building that is now the historical Pride of Ione building at the golf course. Thanks again, and we are thrilled to have you. Bye.
You're watching Amador County's local television network, TSPN.